Where to start? My cousin was a member of the Aryan Brotherhood in Houston. One day one of his gang buddies tells him that he has some business near where his family in Florida lives. If he comes and helps him they can spend a few days there for him to see mom and all that. Well, they are nearing Bay County and are stopped at a red light when the man my cousin was with noticed the people in the car ahead of them, a lane over, were with the person he was out to get. So he opens fire in the middle of the street and the other car takes off. A few blocks into a sparsely populated residential the car my cousin is in pulls a pit maneuver successfully. As both cars empty my cousin realizes the guy they are there for is a long-term friend of his. So he shoots the guy he is with twice in the chest, then leaves with the people they were originally trying to kill. He did 3 years. Fast forward to roughly 1.5 years after getting out of prison. He is hiding out in various backwoods places in the Florida Panhandle. His old gang wants to come get his badges of flags or whatever it was he called them. This means they were coming to cut the gang tattoos off of him. Well, he finds out his mom is living with this redneck in a trailer on unowned land deep into nowhere and she offers him to stay with her until his check, SSI, came in and he could get out of state. So he and his mom and this guy have a great old time of drinking, popping pills, and smoking meth. 3 weeks later he gets his hands on a gallon Ziploc bag 1/5 full of OxyContin and MS-Contin. He goes off the deep end and sniffs a large amount of the shit then drives home to party more. Soon after getting home it is obvious he has OD'd. He is pale, sweating profusely even in his car with AC. He sits in the trailer, that was probably around 100 degrees, and starts shaking and complaining of being cold while drifting in and out of consciousness. He finally falls out. His lips and face begin to turn blue. His mother sits in the chair across from him and argues about calling 911 and the expense as he dies. She called 911 a full hour after he died. Story 2 My grandmother grew up on a farm in Blountstown, Florida. It was a real, one-room shack, with no panes of glass in the window, and a dirt floor. Her father was from Alabama near Phoenix City, or well that was the closest city. They had a nicer farm there apparently but my great-grandfather killed his neighbor after he shot his dog. So they left everything in a hurry and moved to Florida. They only have the Alabama farm a relatively short period of time. For most of his youth my great-grandfather was a traveling farm hand due to the Dust Bowl and Depression. So these were not people used to being rooted to any place as it was. One of the crazier stories my grandmother has is when she was around 12. She was the only female and the boys, other than one, were super fucking assholes. Well, my grandmother and one of her brothers gets in a fight over something, she can't remember what it was. Well, he leaves. About 10 minutes later he returns with a can of kerosene. He splashes it on my grandmother and sets her on fire. My grandmother spends weeks recovering and to this day, she is now 80, she still has scars on most of her mid-torso. Well, while she was bedridden her brother that was worth a damn decided to teach him a lesson. He spent about a week trapping water moccasins and various other venomous snakes. He gets his brother super drunk from some shine he saved for that Saturday night. When he was out cold in bed the good brother pulled him out of bed and dumped him in the box he had been filling with the previously mentioned snake. He throws some water on him to wake him up and laughs at him freaking out while sitting on the lid. Great-grandfather turned the switch on them both so hard they bore the scars until death. I have so much of this type of story it's almost as depressing as it is entertaining.